Hello ambitious people, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, and for new viewers and subscribers, you are most welcome as well. I am in essential Zamangezwane. You can just call me Zamazwane. I am a diagnostic radiographer and a private aeroplane pilot. How that came about is what you'll find out in this video. Before my careers lies me as a person. So I'll share with you a glimpse of my background story first before I progress to my careers and ambitions. I am a simple girl from Osizweni, a township in Newcastle, which is in the northern part of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. I have 3 siblings or sisters, with me being my late mother's third-born child and my father's firstborn. I grew up in a family home where it was my granny's home, so it was my granny's house. It was a big family because I lived there with my granny, both my parents, uncles, aunts, and cousins, and well, my baby sister. Growing up, I would say, a shy kid. Yeah, I was a shy kid, and I was also smart and hardworking at school, because I remember the reports I got, all of them had good remarks like "you're excellent, well done, keep it up" kind of remarks. And I was also respectful. I remember they used to laugh at me a lot, because whenever I walked into a room full of people, I'll greet them individually. I'll be like, "Sabona Koko, Sabona Baba, Sabona Booty," and so forth. So yeah, that was me growing up. I was also caring. I think caring or sweet. Yeah, for a kid, I think it was sweet, because I remember whenever I got money to carry to school, I'll use the money to buy sweets that my granny used to like a lot. They were round and sour. They came in different colors. So they are about this size. So I bought those sweets, and instead of having those sweets for myself, I carried them back home. To give it to my granny, who will then crush the sweets and share it among all of us as kids in the house. So yeah, I was that kid. I was I think a pleasant kid to have around. My mom was a housewife, and my dad was a business owner, a small business owner, because he had built a small shop within my granny's yard, and he sold literally everything, because it was a township shop, and in township shop you often find like everything from your bread to your drinks and even alcohol. So yeah, he had that shop. I guess it was a well profitable business, because he managed to send us both, my baby sister and I, to what they called Model C schools back then in town. Yeah, and he had dreams, big dreams for us. I remember he often reminds us that he had dreamed that we become or do gymnastics. Well, I don't know where that dream came about, but yeah, he was that kind of dad who had like big dreams for us. And yeah, he was planning on extending the shop into a supermarket in 2003. That's when my granny passed away, and yeah, things started falling apart in the family home. We were just subjected to one of those sad township or stories within our Black communities that we often see, where a parent would pass away, and then the children start fighting and causing the blaming games and alienating each other, which is quite sad. And yeah, things got really toxic for my dad, and he decided to move. He had to move away from the home, and he found a bare area or a stand where he erected some sort of shelter. And then my mom and little sister followed him shortly after, and then I was left behind in my granny's home until they had built something they had more shelter to accommodate all of us. So yeah, I think things were bad in the family home, but I didn't really take notice of it. I was only in grade 3, and a lot of things didn't make sense then. But I remember when I moved in with my parents and baby sister to the new place, I was sick. At the time I was in grade 4. When my mom took me to the local clinic, the nurses asked if I ate enough. And then my mom lied and said yes. And yeah, I think it was just to protect the family. And yeah, it turns out I had symptoms of kwashiorkor or malnutrition. So yeah. Anyway, the shelter that my dad built for us was a huge shack. So it was huge in a sense that my mom used curtains to divide it into rooms. Should I say rooms? Shack rooms. I just call them shack rooms. Yeah, so it was that big. And I remember one of the days we played a game in the taxi with other kids going to school. So we used to pick beautiful houses as we were passing them by and be like, that one is mine, I choose this one. So yeah, that's the game we played. And then out of the blue, okay, they called me Ino or Sencha back then, as a shortened version of Innocentia. So out of the blue, this one kid mocked another and say, no, owa eya kindlu eya kuka go Sencha. So yeah, that was not funny back then, but yeah, coming to think of it, it was quite funny. It's quite funny now. Yeah. Through it all, I still maintain being the smart kid at school, because now in the new school, I remember they had a tradition where they'll announce the top 10 after every term. They'll announce the top 10 of each grade and call up the top 5 to stage during assembly, where they'll be given, there were badges that were written top 5. So I'll call them top 5 badges, and which you could put on a collar for a shirt or a blazer. So I got to receive those from grade 4 up until I finished school. So yeah, I was that kid. And then this tradition was really motivating, because at the end of the year, all of the kids who were part of the top 5 had trips. We call them top 5 trips. And that's where I got introduced to Gold Reef City, Ushaka Marine World, camping sites, and a whole lot of fun activities. So yeah, it was a good school. It was a good tradition and very motivating for me as a child. Fast forward in grade 11. I was in grade 11. I always wanted to be a medical doctor. So I'm not sure if that dream was birthed by my caring nature, or it was instilled in me by family, because you know how family can be. Whenever they see a kid with getting good marks, they'll be like, that is my future doctor. But yeah, I didn't want to be any doctor. I wanted to be a medical doctor straight from Wits University. So yeah, my dreams were specific like that, only Wits University. So I used my grade 11 marks to apply to Wits University. And then in Matric, I got 3 distinctions. It was for Afrikaans as the first additional language. It was for life orientation, and it was for geography. So I was not too happy about the results, but yeah. And then I sent those results to Wits as well, only to find out I got rejected. And then when I did my follow-up to ask why I got rejected, the lady who picked up the phone told me that my maths and physical marks were low for the course. They were low. Yeah, they were low, because I got both the subjects were in your 50s. So yeah. And then the lady then advised me to upgrade those marks if I still want to get into medicine, to upgrade the marks. And she recommended Star School. It was in Star School in Braamfontein, Johannesburg. So I took the recommendation and advice, and I applied and registered to upgrade those results. I moved to Joburg and stayed with my 2 older sisters who were working in Joburg at that time as domestic workers. So I moved in with them as I upgraded my marks, as I went to Star School to upgrade my marks. And during the Easter holidays, I went back home to visit my mom and little sister. That's where mom passed away. And being the dad that he is, my dad is a dad that likes us to chase our dreams, whatever happens, whatever the circumstances. So he told me that I should go back and complete my upgrading after the burial. So I did just that. This was a difficult period, but I managed to go back. I wrote my final exams, and whilst I was waiting for my results, I think it was in October. So in October, one of my sister's workmates went on to maternity leave. So I took the job to stand in for her while she was on maternity leave, and I worked as a domestic worker. And my dad was so hurt back home. I think he thought he was failing because he tried so hard to give us good education, so that not all of us end up being domestic workers. So I think he felt like he was failing. So I had to reassure him that it was only temporary and it was just for the 3 months that I was there. Still waiting, and he shouldn't worry about, my dreams are still valid and I'll still continue. My upgraded marks or results came out, and I got 75% for my mathematics and 66% for my physical sciences. It was a good improvement, just not good enough for Wits University, and I got rejected the second time around. So in the beginning of 2014, I had no solid plan on what I'll do next. So I applied for jobs, I applied for internships and all that. I was still in Joburg at the time, so I was like trying out opportunities that came by, and I was trying out anything that I could find. Until one day, back at home, my dad and little sister were listening to radio. An interview came up from a company called Aviation. They were in search for young individuals who were coming from disadvantaged backgrounds, who would like to participate and get enrolled into pilot training. So my dad and sister took the details down, and that is how I got introduced to the aviation industry. They only wanted, out of the hundreds that applied, they only wanted to find only 15 candidates. So we went through the selection process where we wrote tests, and which included aptitude or psychological tests. So the candidates who passed those tests moved over to the interviews. The way, guys, I was so clueless about flying and aviation as a whole. I thought I wouldn't make it through. I remember this one guy had a discussion with one of the instructors who were there in the interview. He was asking if whether or not being left-handed would be an advantage, because planes are flown using a left hand. I was like, people are so prepared here. Whilst I, on the other hand, was so clueless. And one question I remember from the interview was when the panel of interviewers asked me where I see myself in 5 years. Since I knew nothing about flying, it was never my dream. So the answer I gave was so general and honest. So I said I didn't like that question, because if they asked me that question 5 years prior, I wouldn't be sitting in this interview. I would be in a medical school, and my mom would be alive, and the approach was starting to get so emotional. So I decided to flip that, the way I was answering, because who would want to start crying on the interview, right? So I wrapped up the answer by saying, I don't know where I'll be in 5 years' time, but what I know is, or what I'm sure about, is that I'll be grown to be a better version of myself. So yeah, fast forward, I got called in for my medical test, which was successful, and then I started my pilot training. 2 years into flight school, things started going south. We noticed patterns that were affecting us as cadets. I won't get much into the challenges in this video, but you'll get to know my flight experience throughout my upcoming videos. Anyway, during that time, it was in 2016, I decided to revisit my medical dream. And because I learned the lesson of being rejected twice from vets, I decided to apply into different universities now. So I applied through the CAO for the KZN universities, and I applied for, it was medicine, I applied for pharmacy, I applied for radiography, and then 2 other careers outside the medical field. I think it was accounting and some engineering course. And yeah, coincidentally, that same year, 2016, the flight school closed or shut down. And yeah, since I applied for university, I had created a backup plan for myself, and Duty was the first university to give me a study offer for radiography. So I accepted that offer, and in 2017, I started my radiography course. And yeah, in 2020, I then received my degree qualification in Diagnostic Radiography. So yeah, that is the summary of my life and the birth of my ambitious self. I am Zamazwane, a Diagnostic Radiographer and a Private Aeroplane Pilot. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you again on my next upload. Bye-bye.